President Trump. Please, please, I hope you have a plan.
I have concepts of a plan.
Oh my God, the internet don't miss.
Somebody to tell me they're lying right now because of what the do you mean that I'm not gonna get my SNAP benefits? What the do you mean?
You look so dumb right now.
Ma'am, stop.
They can't
Store
just
called
take
it
my
in.
food away. We got kids. EBT's gone. What are we supposed to do? Starve? Don't be surprised when we start taking it. People gotta eat.
They literally cut my food stamp card off. Zero balance. They took everything. So I told my husband, and he says to me, as I'm crying, and he says to me, well, maybe I'll lose some weight now. God, why did I vote for him if that was going to happen? I can't go get a job. Is there anybody out there that can help me, please?
Well, what do we have here? Not the brunette sister of the Princess Bride albino crying about food stamps. I'm even going to skip past your husband's toxic energy. Talk about the fact you can't just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I did manage to go through this creator's account, and boy, honey, you are on TikTok a lot. There are so many reposts. You know what you could do with all that time if you stop being on TikTok? You'd probably get a job. What's crazy about this algorithm is that sometimes you end up on the wrong side of TikTok, and you weren't on our side of TikTok where we were telling you Donald Trump does not care about poor people. Asking for help is wild. You have over 100,000 followers somehow on this account, so you're monetizing this content. You know what you're doing. This is giving, well, this is actually giving exactly the people that Donald Trump wants to cut off, the people who want handouts. Meanwhile, there's immigrants and people that are working hard to contribute to this country, but no, you just want to be able to stay at home. You know what? I send you my concepts of thoughts and prayers, and I guess also concepts of food stamps. And also, dump your husband.
Hands down, the very best thing about SNAP benefits being kept away from a lot of Americans next month is watching MAGA on social media joke about it, giving the impression that they don't receive food stamps.
You'll never get EBT again.
All right, we got another one. And this lady's very concerned with what food items people are spending their money on. So let's see what she's having for dinner. Oh. She's bald and she's torturing people who season their food.
Explain something to me. I live in Alabama and
Another FAFO.
usually averages between $200 $250 a month. Can someone please explain to me how my utility bill went from $250 a month to $696 this month? Could someone just please explain that to me? I know.
Let me show you why. Ready? This guy. That's why your electric bill went up. Trump. No more subsidies for Alabama. No more subsidies for red states. Woo! MAGA! Woo! Go Trump! Go broke!
If the government is not intentionally starving Americans, then I'm going to need one of you MAGA brainiacs to run up into my comments and explain to me why the $6 billion emergency contingency fund is not being deployed for this situation. USDA claims that they are not releasing it because they need to save it for a natural disaster or some other real emergency. So apparently millions of Americans about to starve is not a real emergency. So we're going to hold on to that money for a hypothetical future emergency. Make it make sense.
After watching all these food stamp videos, I feel like I need to come give you some advice because they won't give me food stamps. We barely make the limit on how much you can make to get the assistance you need. When in reality, the food stamp program was created for families like mine, but we don't even get the help. So you want to know how we make it? We go and get food at dollar stores. Yes, it may not be the best food sometimes, and when we can't afford it, we will go to Walmart, Market Basket, and to other places. You can survive, and you can strive to do better and to want to do better. The whole goal of the food stamp program was to lift families up, not to keep families down like it's doing right now. God bless. I love you. Jesus loves you. Have a great day.
To all of the men and women who are talking shit to people who are on food stamps and you're so excited for them to lose food stamps, you're also talking to their children who have nothing to do with their parents and their parents' behavior. I used to be on food stamps, and when I went to the grocery store, I didn't get everything I wanted. I got what my children picked out. And if that happened to be snacks that we wouldn't otherwise be able to afford, then it did so. But a lot of people are embarrassed to have food stamps. But in this country right now, almost every household should have food stamps. Every single household, because we don't make it without it. Food is the number one necessity in people's households in 2025, and we all lack it. Most of us have grown up with some one or the other food fucking disorder because our parents say, shut the fridge, it's not time for a snack, it's not time for dinner. While you're sitting here talking shit, I'm so happy even to find out what the real world is. The real world has had hunger for fucking decades. It didn't just start in 2025. Fucking losers. Whoever, men, it's gross watching men talk shit to people that have food stamps. You're gonna know now what it's like for us 9-to-5ers. Everybody knows what it's like to be fucking hungry. Even your parents and grandparents used to go hungry, you dumbass.
So I just saw this post on TikTok where it said, you all just went from no kings protests to king. We need those food stamps. Oh my God, the internet don't miss.
Look at this map that I just came across of SNAP enrollment across the United States. The red is where the most people get SNAP benefits. Do you guys see a pattern of where that red is located? You all want to act like it's people in the inner cities, specifically black women, to portray that welfare queen trope that Ronald Reagan created in the 80s that are on SNAP benefits. But really, it is people in rural communities. It is white people. It is MAGA people that are on SNAP benefits. If you are somebody who's MAGA and on SNAP benefits, I want you to really look at the people that you're in community with, the people you're voting with, the people that you think are on the same side as you, and look at how they are treating you and how they are talking about you. Those are the people you're supporting. People that want you to literally starve. People that are calling somebody who works a blue-collar job 14 hours a fucking day and still doesn't make enough money to eat and needs a little bit of help from the government, leeches on society. People that have spent their whole life paying fucking tax dollars in because they're hardworking and they just need a little help right now because maybe their wife got injured, maybe their kid's disabled, calling you a drain on fucking society. They want you and your family to literally starve to death. You guys are acting like people are out here getting thousands of dollars a month. The average benefit is like $180 a month. The max you can get is $298 per person a month. Most people are getting like $20 a month, $100 a month, whatever little bit that they can get to help them make it to the end of this month. And they are your community members. They are people in rural areas. They are white people that voted Republican. They are not people in inner cities. This fucking welfare queen trope is tired. Because let's just look at where I live. Baltimore, one of the blackest cities in the fucking country. Looks pretty green to me. Hope that all this shows you that one, Donald Trump doesn't give a fuck about you and your family and does not care if you starve. They have a $6 billion fund at the USDA that's specifically for emergencies like this that they're refusing to use, while they have a fucking thing on the front page of the USDA website that says that, oh, blame the Democrats because they want to do gender reassignment surgery and give healthcare to illegal aliens. That is not what is happening. The Democrats are fighting to keep our health insurance affordable. If you were on SNAP, I bet you are also on Medicaid. They're trying to keep you insured. They're trying to keep that disabled child with the stay-at-home mom that has to give up her career to stay home with them insured. They're trying to keep the elderly people who shouldn't be working at 80 fucking years old insured. They're trying to keep the people that do pay for private healthcare plans from paying double for their premiums. I'm so angry about this. They are fighting for us and our healthcare. That is what is going on. It has nothing to do with illegal aliens. Illegal immigrants cannot get health insurance. You need to be a United States citizen to get any form of welfare, Medicaid, any of that. Nobody is doing gender reassignment surgeries on children at school. And if you genuinely believe that, you need fucking help. The school can't even give your kid Tylenol without calling to ask. This just to blame the Democrats. They are starving you and your children to get political points, to have something to blame the Democrats for when all they're doing is fighting for your right to have health insurance. Those parties are corrupt and fucked up, but at least one of them is fighting for us to have health care. One of them wants us to eat. One of them wants to get the billionaires taxed so that we can all afford things and they don't have to take so much from us. I want you to really look at the people that you're in community with, these MAGA people that are making all these videos about how hilarious it is that you and your family are going to be starving in a couple of days, and think about, is this who I want to align myself with? Are these the values that I hold? Do I want to uplift people who don't even want me to fucking eat? Because I hope this shows y'all how evil they truly can be.
At the 11th hour, a federal judge ruled the Trump administration must continue to fund SNAP benefits in light of the government shutdown for the month of November. As we head into day 31 of the government shutdown, this is obviously not a big win for the Trump administration, as they were using SNAP benefits as leverage to try and force the Democrats to the table to vote on the CR. While this is good news, it's not exactly clear on when these food stamps would actually reach the roughly 42 million people who rely on them. And also, it is unclear whether they will be getting their full benefits or if they will be piecemealed or be given basically being rationed out.
I don't think people get that we are literally fucking with our future generations' prosperity right now. Now, allow me to explain. Regardless of how you feel on the subject, at the end of the day, it's really about taking care of children that need it, elderly, and people with disability. So let me break it down for you like this. I was a food stamp kid. I hated it. I hated being poor. It was the worst. Would not recommend. And honestly, I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed every time I went to HEB and slid that Lone Star card. I didn't want anyone to know because there's always going to be a stigma behind using a Lone Star card. But at the end of the day, I'm really happy that we were able to use the Lone Star card when we were in need of it. Because honestly, I don't know how we would have survived our childhood if it hadn't been for food stamps. Now people might ask me how were you on food stamps? Why were you on food stamps? Blah, blah, blah. Honestly, it's none of your damn business, but I'll go ahead and explain. So my mom met my dad, and my dad's a real piece of shit. But my dad happened to be a small business owner. Never even graduated middle school, but he was a small business owner and he was a mechanic. My mom had a bunch of health problems, and they were probably stress induced by my dad. And they eventually ended up getting a divorce. My dad just rode off into the sunset, left my mom and us kids behind pretty much. He was still in town, but he really didn't prioritize taking care of his children at all. Now, that's definitely not a you problem, but, it just, those were our circumstances. And these types of programs are meant to help people in those circumstances. So anyway, while my dad was out gallivanting, going to bars and dance halls and where the shit, just living his best life, we were struggling. We were struggling to keep the lights on. We were struggling to pay our water bill. What kind of father would allow his children to go without water? He was the one that was making money, and he just, I don't know, it's been so many years since then, but it's just you would think he would go out of his way to fucking do something to help his children out, but he didn't. Unfortunately, that's the case with a lot of families. The men just don't want to fucking step up. So it's just put on the women to figure it all out. So anyway, years removed from it all, I remember calling my dad crazy. You're crazy. And he'd say some shit life's cruel and then you die. Who says that to a child? Anyway, thinking about it, I'm no, he was literally crazy. I don't know what kind of mental illness he has, but he definitely has some sort of mental illness. And you can't necessarily be mad or angry at a person that's literally crazy. So I've just kind of come to peace with that. But if it weren't for those food stamps, I don't even want to know how even more bad my childhood would have been. Even though we had food stamps, we were still having to pawn our vacuum cleaner or our VCR or something just to have gas to get somewhere. And I don't think people realize how many of their favorite entrepreneurs or entertainers, etc., actually grew up in poverty. And if it hadn't been for these government assistant programs to nourish them, they probably wouldn't have gotten the drive to make something of themselves. I'll always say poverty really, really builds character. And I know I'm quite a character myself. I think a lot of people just don't have any kind of understanding of why people are on food stamps, what those circumstances are. But I decided to kind of look into who is really benefiting from food stamps. And like I said, it's elderly, it's the disabled, and it's children. I'm just saying, would you literally go up to a small child and say, oh, well, your mom should be doing a better job taking care of you, or or your dad. So, not my problem. Like, go figure it out on your own. Go get a job while you're 5 years old. Are you really gonna say that to your child? And I'll go back to my childhood. Like I said, I was very embarrassed having food stamps. I went to work at KFC. First of all, I worked at a Mexican restaurant as a hostess. Then I worked at KFC, and you have no idea how hard it is to juggle a job, working really late hours, as well as go to school and be in the environment that you're in, like this poverty environment. That's really rough to focus on your classes and stuff. And I won't lie, I looked at people who I went to school with that didn't have to have a job, like they were just in athletics or whatever, and I was like, must be nice. And I bet those same people saw me having a free lunch, and their parents might have said, oh, must be nice to get a free lunch. No, it wasn't. It was not nice to get a free lunch. I mean, like, yes, it was, but being so poor that you had to get a free lunch, that's not nice. So anyway, I deep dived to see what ethnicities does this really benefit, and believe it or not, it's actually white people. Now, I am half white myself. My dad, you know, the guy that abandoned his children to go gallivant, like, that man was white. My mom's Hispanic, and I never really know which category to, like, put myself in. He's either the white or the Hispanic, but I know a ton of Hispanics out there just think I'm some white girl, and I know a ton of white people think I'm just a Mexican, so I'm like, whatever you want to think I am, I am. Let's just call it a day. Let's not get in. But I thought that was really, really interesting. So anyway, I'm just saying this isn't about people asking for handouts or anything. This is about children and elderly and disabled, and like us as a nation, you know, making sure these programs are still there for the people that need them. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents on it.
Every year I try to give food and I give toys to organizations to help. But I'm going to tell you, I got to pay for my own family, and it sucks. But you guys have gotten very comfortable living off of the government. And the very thought that you might not get your cards in November has got you guys screaming all over the internet. Meanwhile, you had no problem spending $1,000 food hauls at Costco and showing all the internet all the food you get, and dancing and laughing, and even some women like very sarcastically being like, oh, you mad?
Lock in, fuck niggas. We about to fact check this shit. First, if you fuck with me, check out that podcast. Let's get it. What the hell is she talking about? First of all, you are online way too much, and I know you know nothing about food stamps, because if you did, you would not make that video. And why are you mad at people using food stamps to buy food? Isn't that why we use it? But I'm gonna give you guys some information just to show you what she's saying doesn't make any damn sense. First of all, if you want less people on SNAP benefits, that would mean that the economy has to get better. Because if we just took the time to use our big people brain, then we'll realize that if the price of living is increasing and wages remain the same, then more people are gonna need government assistance. Which is why reports are saying a stronger economy will equal less people on food stamps. Not to mention that food stamps is just a temporary assistance, meaning that people usually stay between 6 to 24 months. And do you even know the demographic of the people that are on these benefits that the right are complaining about? 34% are children, 33% are the elderly, and 17% are disabled. Not to mention that 50% of people who are on WIC, which is women, infant, and children, have either SNAP, Medicaid, or both. In Trump's economy, we have a bad job market, unemployment is high, and inflation is high as well. And you're trying to understand why people want to get on food stamps?
So this discussion of food stamps being cut off or being suspended or whatever terminology you all want to use has been a big discussion. And a lot of y'all are failing to realize y'all closer to needing food stamps than you are to being a millionaire or a billionaire. Let this sink in. But anywho, have the most amazing day. Love y'all. Bye.
With food stamps about to be cut off for so many American citizens next month, I just wanted to say something really quick. MAGA, shame on you. I guess the time, though, has now come for you to pick yourself up by your bootstraps, right? Isn't that your favorite phrase? Because now, because of your strange, weird desire to own the libs, now you've owned your own family and so many other people straight into starvation. Because let's not play MAGA. We know plenty of you guys are also on those benefits. And that's fine. That's why they're there, is for American people that need them to use them. But look what your vote has now caused. It's caused you to go hungry, your children, other innocent people, all because of what? You needed Trump back in the office so badly to make America great? Is this great? Families starving right before the holidays? And I gotta say, no, as a human being, I don't want to see other human beings go hungry. I don't. But I'm having a real hard time feeling bad for any of you guys that are MAGA. I really am. Because you did vote for this. You wanted this. You asked for it. You couldn't wait to have Trump back. And now you've got him. At what cost? I will say, I feel bad for your children. Your innocent children should not have to suffer because of your ignorance, because of your own lack of empathy, because of your weird vendetta against the libs. This is a bad time for our country. A very bad time. I hope, if anything, you'll do some self-reflection. Doesn't do much good now. You brought this on us all already. But I don't know. Happy holidays, right?
Do you know what losing food can do to people? And fuck politics, fuck who you support. I don't care about none of that shit. When you walk into the emergency room to get care, I don't ask you who you support. I don't care how much money you have. So to use food against people, do you guys understand what's gonna happen to infants? What about the children, since everybody acts like they wanna protect children. A mom can't buy their baby formula, what do you think is gonna happen? Every mother cannot breastfeed, right? Some of them have health issues. They have disease processes that will not allow them to. Babies will not latch. The babies, they can't drink regular milk. I once upon a time needed food stamps. I fed my 2 children with food stamps before. And I really need them to get me through college. Now I'm fine. And my kids are fine. And I didn't always have any of that. What's wrong with y'all? This is hate. Half the people that don't even have somewhere to sleep, at least they have something to eat, and now they're not gonna have that either. Emergency rooms are gonna be exploding. Diabetics are gonna be hypoglycemic, that can cause coma and death. How do you think this country can run if we don't have poor people? Who's gonna bag your fucking groceries for you, actually? You're gonna bag them yourself? Who's gonna stock the stuff at the stores for you to go get if you bag them yourself? Who's gonna stock them? Not you. When you go to buy your expensive wine from the store, who do you think's gonna ring you up? When you go get gas and you get that fucking beer, who's gonna ring up your stuff? When you don't feel like cooking, who's gonna make your pizza that you're gonna go pick it up from? Seems like this may have started out political, but this is not political. This is hate.
What's up, Group 47? And God bless President Trump for taking one more step closer to making our country great again. President Trump did not take away anybody's food stamps or welfare or aid. The Democratic Party is the one that decided to keep the government shut down, which in turn is blocking aid and benefits and all that. What Trump did do is he put it upon each state to take care of their own. And each state is the one that decided that they were going to go back to using welfare and aid the way it was intended to be used, as a short-term help for families that needed it until they could get back on their feet. When welfare was first introduced, it wasn't meant to be a career opportunity. It was meant to be a short-term solution for people that needed help while they actively tried to get back on their feet. And now that it's going back to being used for what it was intended for, hopefully it frees up a bunch of our tax dollars to pay for more police, first responders, fire department. Maybe we could even pay teachers what they're worth so we can get decent teachers in there for our kids and get rid of a bunch of these woke teachers that we have now. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say that it is my job to pay my taxes and take care of your family and to take care of my family on top of that. And before I start getting all this negative and hate in my comments, I have a family member who has 2 teenage autistic kids, and at night while they're sleeping, she goes to school full time. So she could really use the benefits. And they told her that she wasn't getting benefits anymore as of this month. And I have not seen one tear come out of her eyes about it. Let me tell you a little story. Back when that senile gentleman was president and he shut down the entire country, I was still out there delivering all the goods so that everybody still had what they needed. Nobody else was going to work. I had to work. I had a newborn at home. Times were rough. During COVID, times were rough. I applied for WIC, just WIC. I just needed milk for my son after he was first born, and I was denied because they said I make too much money. But yet they're still giving benefits to people that don't want to work. People that are staying home and getting aid and welfare and food stamps, probably bringing home more money than I was making working 70 hours a week. But what did my wife and I do? We made sure my son ate before we ate. We made sure my son had everything he needed before we bought anything that we might want or need. So hell yes, I'm happy that all of this is going on. If you really need assistance, I'm all for you getting assistance. But if you can work, minimum wage where I live is $15 an hour. That's the most it's ever been. And when I was a kid, it was $3.25 an hour, and I managed to survive. So hell yes, let's start freeing up tax dollars and using it for shit that it's meant to be used for, instead of using it to support lazy people. And the people that do qualify for aid, I think they should be limited to what they can use it on. I don't think they should be able to use it at Subway and for soda and junk. I think it should be used to support their family and to make sure their kids are healthy and have what they need to eat. That's just my opinion.
Just into our politics lead, moments ago, President Trump responded to the rulings today from 2 different federal judges who said that the White House and the Agriculture Department must use the billions of dollars in contingency funds to at least partially cover food stamp benefits in November. CNN's Jeff Zeleny is at the White House. Jeff, what did the president have to say?
Well, Jake, it was that back-to-back ruling from the federal judges that got the White House's attention. Certainly the president just a few moments ago writing on Truth Social from his Mar-a-Lago resort that the White House is now willing to pay. Let's take a look at part of his message here. It says, our government lawyers do not think that we have the legal authority to pay SNAP with certain monies we have available. And now 2 courts have issued conflicting opinions on what we can and cannot do. The president writes, I do not want Americans to go hungry just because the radical Democrats refuse to do the right thing and reopen the government. Therefore, he says, I have instructed our lawyers to ask the court to clarify how we can legally fund SNAP as soon as possible. Of course, SNAP is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as food stamps. It helps 42 million Americans, about 1 in 8 Americans. So this, of course, is the deadline that is looming tomorrow. So the White House is now saying they will pay. The question is, Jake, how long will that take to actually get enacted? Because it will take a while for the USDA to send the money to the states. And it's not enough to fund the entire month, but only partial funding. But for the first time, the president is saying he will pay the SNAP funds, much like he did military funding earlier this week. But what it does not do is move the shutdown any closer to being a reach. The president, of course, is not here. The House has been out of Washington for more than a month. The Senate also is not in Washington. So the shutdown is entering a second month here. But at least the SNAP benefits, it looks like, will be paid at least in part.
Imagine not having to show up to work for a month and still get paid. Man, nice work if you can get it.
You will be getting your SNAP benefits, but it might be a delay. Thanks to 2 federal judges actually had the balls to go up against your president and his administration. They were claiming that the government shutdown was not enough reason to tap into that $6 billion of emergency funds just in case something was to happen. Those 2 judges said, oh, hell yeah, it is. Over 42 million people depend on those SNAP benefits, and that $6 billion ain't even enough to cover it. We need 8. They said, no, this is a reason to tap into that money. Your president wanted to fight them every way they could, but thanks to those two those two federal judges, they really run up against your president. I don't want to say no names or whatever because I don't want to get flagged. I always do when I try to. I don't know. I ain't gonna say too much, but just know your SNAP benefits might be a little bit late, but you can expect to receive them. I don't know if you will get the full amount, being that I said they had a $5 or $6 billion emergency fund, but it actually costs $8 million to cover over 40 something million people that depend on these SNAP benefits. You know what I'm saying? See how God works. But I want to say this. My mama used to tell me all the time, the same thing that will make you laugh will make you cry. Now, with all this going on, ladies, what y'all gonna do to be more prepared? Because see, the government think they got you. They can treat you any kind of way. People will treat you any kind of way when they think they need you. But when people know you don't really need them and you can take care of yourself on your own, they will find better ways to treat you. Believe me, they will treat you better. People treat you better when they know. I'm trying to figure out a way to say this. People treat you better when they know you don't need them. But when people know you need them, they will dog your ass out. Kind of like your government doing. So you need to be prepared. You know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do to be prepared. So the next time this happens, if it happens or whatever, you'll be prepared and you won't be worried about it because you'll be like, I got my kids. You have a plan B. Always have options. Don't never let nobody have you like this right here and you can't move. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, words to live by. The same thing that will make you laugh will make you cry. We gotta stay prepared. Stay up, ladies. And all you men that thought them $40 gonna get you somewhere, nah. Them SNAP benefits coming. F y'all.
Okay, two things for certain, one thing for sure. 99% of the people on here celebrating the fact that over 40 million people will starve next month, during the holiday season no less, have Bible quotes in their bios. And not even that Old Testament stuff. It's always that new. You know, the one with Jesus? Just remind me though, what chapter is it where they explain that Jesus checked everybody's employment history before that whole loaves and fishes situation? When you ask these people, what would Jesus do? Apparently, it's tell starving little Tommy to kick rocks because his mother only has 2 jobs and she had to pay for heating this month. There is literally no hate like Christian love. Jesus fucking Christ.
I told my mom about how I'm probably not getting SNAP benefits this month, and I haven't heard a singular word from her. Nothing. I sent information to my family, my brothers and sisters, in a group chat about this, including my mother. Nobody acknowledged me or only one of my siblings who I talk with daily knows exactly what's going on and what I'm potentially dealing with. And my mother grew up poor. She grew up poor in the South. And I was on WIC as a child. I am having a hard time wrapping my head around how my mother doesn't care, or is at least choosing not to respond because she did vote for you-know-who. I don't know if it's embarrassment. I don't know what it is. There can't even be a, are you okay? How are you doing? Nothing. And my mother is someone I talk to on a semi-regular basis. Is losing SNAP benefits going to be the thing that makes us, not talk anymore? Because I'm not gonna be reaching out anymore. And to go a holiday wondering if she's gonna ask me how I'm doing and how her grandson's doing. Fucking heartbreaking, honestly. I know I'm not the only one experiencing this kind of thing either.
A lot of people on Social Security can actually work. Okay, a lot of people who on Social Security can actually work a job, and they are in the comments. What? Oh, my disability is not enough. My Social. Okay, baby, get away from home job. Now, listen. Ooh, it's some of y'all who ain't showed up in the real world in about 25 years. It's some of y'all who ain't showed up in the real world in so long, baby. You don't know what to do, and that's why you shaking in your boots because you're about to have to face reality like everybody else. Okay, you're about to have to get up and be somebody and do something like everybody else. And that's what got y'all shaking up. I had somebody in my comments telling me something. Well, what about the single woman with kids? And my mom, her Social Security is not enough. Girl, I don't give a damn about your mama's Social Security not being enough. Okay, I got some stories about when I didn't have enough. Where the hell was your mom at? You see what I'm saying? She was somewhere collecting Social Security, and she don't want to give nobody nothing because it ain't even enough for her. And she ain't gonna go outside of the Social Security and get a job because the first thing that they say is, "No, I can't work. They're gonna take my Social Security." No, you can work part time. Y'all can work part time, okay? Actually, you can get a full time job and let go of the Social Security, but you don't want to do that because you just don't want to work. You have been relying on this program for so many years, baby, that you just think that you the baddest one on here. Okay, you ain't got to do nothing. And now they're finna take, what am I gonna do? You're gonna work. Get your ass up.
Trump has cut my food stamps from $2,800 down to $350. Now, what am I supposed to do? Huh? So I literally just got this piece of mail today saying that due to new policy changes from the Trump administration, all this shit, whatever, that all these cuts and whatever he's doing over there, now they're telling me I have to go work. Now I have to go do all this. Well, I literally got 5 kids. Okay, I'm trying to sit here and spend time with them. I'm not trying to go work, 50, 60 hours a week so I can pay bills. I just really don't understand. I voted for him this last election because I thought what he had good was going on, but now all of a sudden, all this policy stuff's coming out, and now he's making all these cuts, and now he doesn't want to help the less fortunate people no more. I'm done with that guy. I'm not. If he gets voted in again, I'm leaving this country. Because I'm not dealing with this no more.
Why? You want to know why I'm not having an aneurysm over people losing their food stamps on November 1st? Here's why. Come grocery shop with us.
I think we all know where this is going. That woman, by the way, runs a company that she says is about countering liberal bias in the media. So she goes on to show a Black couple that is using SNAP benefits to buy their groceries. And it is not a coincidence that she chose a Black couple. I'm telling you right now. They're putting things in their cart like graham crackers and Cheez-Its, like hash browns or tater tots. And then she has this reaction to looking at that couple's shopping cart.
I tell you what, how about this instead? If you're on food stamps, you get a pre-selected box of meat, bread, rice, food staples, and fruits and vegetables. No more handing you a debit card filled with other people's cash for you to go load up on Oreos. The goal here is to keep you from starving because taxpayers do not need to bankroll your junk food pantry or your health problems.
You can just feel the rage seeping out of this woman. She's really, really angry. As we discuss her plan for what she thinks people on food stamps should be given to eat, I want you to really think about why is it she is so full of rage? What's going on here? Where is that coming from? Now, her grand plan here for people on food stamps is not unique. It's not new. This is a classic Republican talking point that people on food stamps are just buying soda and chips and junk food, and they're wasting the taxpayer dollars of hardworking Americans. And often it goes like this. Other working class people will say well, I can't afford to get what they're getting on food stamps. I can't afford chips and soda. First of all, in most states, you can't purchase soda on food stamps. That's just something that Republicans like to say. They like to make it sound like everybody on food stamps is getting a bag of Doritos and premium cut steak and endless bottles of Fanta. And that's not happening. Oh, and Oreos. She mentioned Oreos as well. So her idea is that people on food stamps should get a box of beans and rice and maybe some meat and eggs and dairy and vegetables. Because MAGA very much believes that if you're sick, if you have health problems, that's your own fault because you didn't eat clean enough. And I have whole videos on how Crunchy Moms and the MAGA movement absolutely not just a pipeline to the alt-right, but they are inherently white supremacist. They are inherently fascist. They are inherently about high control and coercion. Fascist regimes, they really want to control what you eat, really want to shame you for taking pleasure in eating. They want to make you fixated on the kinds of foods that you are allowed to consume, and they want to blame you for systemic factors entirely outside of your control, like maybe genetics, maybe environmental factors like mega corporations being allowed to pollute that impact your health negatively. They want to make your health and your illness a personal failing, while they take away vaccinations that would have prevented you from getting sick, while RFK Jr. is canceling cancer screenings. They want to make it sound like if you just eat clean enough, then you won't get sick. And if you eat things like Oreos and Doritos, then you're going to be unhealthy, right? She had this presumption that that couple in that video were unhealthy. Any concept of clean eating, right eating, that will manifest perfect health and a fit physique, that's fascist rhetoric. It's also orthorexic rhetoric. Her whole premise of like people on food stamps, people who are struggling financially, let's not think about the ways that corporations are exploiting them, the fact that the vast majority of people on food stamps are working, that those who aren't working are retired, disabled, and little children. But it's this rhetoric that if you are poor and you need assistance in order to not go hungry, in order for your children not to go hungry, that's a personal failing. That's you having been lazy or inept. That is somehow a moral and personal failing on your part. This has been a Republican talking point, and I would argue a conservative Christian talking point in this country for a really long time. Blaming people for their poverty instead of understanding that poverty is not a personal choice. It's not because somebody did something wrong. It is overwhelmingly a systemic problem. And I know I've said before that MAGA Christianity is now a cult of grievance, anger, and retribution. But this is absolutely an example of that. If you're poor, that's your own fault and you need to be made to suffer. You should be deprived of any good thing, any comfort, any pleasurable experience. You need to be punished for your moral failing that has resulted in you living in poverty and needing to take SNAP. That's what this woman is saying. So not only does MAGA want to make you control what you eat, they want you to feel free to judge other people and control what kinds of foods other people eat. And then add to that this layer of kind of evangelical self-righteousness, the punitive nature of evangelical America, and then this lie that we have been fed since Ronald Reagan, but long before. It really comes back to this bootstraps thinking in our society, that if you are successful, that must be because you've earned it and you deserve to be wealthy and rich. Elon Musk fans say that all of the time, like, oh, he works really hard, he deserves that money, with no awareness of all of the ways that he's exploited other people and the planet, all of the shady dealings, all of the government contracts, all the ways Elon Musk was being investigated and was likely to be charged right before Trump got elected. Why do you think he got into the race and made sure that... Okay, anyway, but this bootstraps belief that if you're successful, you deserve it. If you failed, you didn't pull yourself up by your bootstraps. They don't understand that the whole notion of pull yourself up by your bootstraps is meant to illustrate that it's impossible, that we need each other. Nobody is successful without the support of other people. And likewise, when people struggle in poverty, there are external societal factors, there are corporations, there are governmental policies, there is racism at play. Now, I am somebody whose wheelhouse is food justice, local food economies, food distribution systems. I have a permaculture garden. I care very much about culturally appropriate, nutritionally dense meals using seasonal, locally sourced ingredients. Like that is a passion of mine. Go to my Instagram and see what kind of food I cook for my family. We also like Doritos and root beer. I love Jelly Belly jelly beans, especially the pear flavor. We have been known to get Taco Bell once in a while. More than that, I would never presume to tell another person what to eat. The point of SNAP is that we are trusting other adults to be autonomous individuals. We are respecting the dignity and humanity of other people. Do you not understand how dehumanizing it is to control somebody else's food? First of all, who the fuck do you think you are that you get to tell other people what to eat just because they're poor, that you think you can own and control them that way? It's also this arrogant presumption that you are smarter and more intelligent and deserve to make decisions for other people. That you somehow think people in poverty are stupider than you, are not capable of running their own lives because you think poverty is a personal failing. You think it is decisions that those folks made. Do you know the average family on food stamps is on it for 12 months while they are in the middle of a crisis? They use it to increase their security so they can better their situation. They use it to make sure that their children do not go hungry during a crisis, like when they get laid off, like when they have tremendous medical debt. That's what happened to our family. When they become ill or injured, they become disabled. when they become elderly and they cannot afford to pay their rent and also buy enough food in a country where food prices have skyrocketed 40% since Trump has come into office, while they live on a fixed Social Security income. I am constantly struggling with the way that MAGA is so disconnected from their humanity, how easily they dehumanize, want to control and judge and inflict suffering on other people, be it immigrants, be it poor people on SNAP. 12% of Americans are on SNAP, y'all. That's unfucking believable in the wealthiest country on earth. Do you not see that this is a systemic problem? And yet all of this anger, all of this rage that this woman has focused on people who don't get enough to eat. She makes it sound like it's thousands and thousands of dollars a month. It's like $320 a month. Sometimes it's a lot less than that, like $188 a month. People qualify because they're hungry, because they need it. Somebody who was on WIC, as somebody who worked for WIC, I promise you, when you have to participate in these programs, it's dehumanizing on so many levels. People treat you like shit on so many levels. Nobody does this unless they need to. But all of this rage and this anger for individuals, for your fellow Americans, you are 1 or 2 paychecks away from being in the same position they are. You are 1 crisis away from poverty in this country if you are not already in poverty, or if you're not the super rich. None of that rage that you have is focused on the right people, ma'am. Where is all of the rage and anger for the billions and billions and billions of dollars that this regime is funneling into the pockets of billionaires? Where is your rage for the corporate welfare that we see in this country? The corruption from the regime. This regime is taking more of our tax dollars and funneling them toward billionaires than they are toward food stamps. Know your enemy, girlfriend. Understand who is exploiting you. Understand the same people that make folks on SNAP poor and make them struggle. Yeah, those people are the folks that you need to be angry at because they are also making you suffer. They are also making it so you can't afford the sweet treats that you want to have. They're making it so that you do not have the kind of quality of life you should in this country. Immigrants, your fellow Americans in poverty, these are scapegoats. They're not the source of your oppression. Angry at the people who should be your allies, judging them while you ignore the billionaires who exploit you.
This message is for all the people complaining about not having food stamps in November. What did you do with October's food stamp money?
Another thing that really gets me with this whole SNAP benefit thing, you know, with benefits not being paid as of November 1st, is all of the MAGA that say, well, people can just go to the food bank or the soup kitchen or whatever. Why should they have to? Why should they have to? And where is the food bank and the soup kitchen getting their items from? Because you guys don't want to pay into SNAP, right? You're a little 2% of where your taxes go. You don't want to pay into that, but who's filling up the food bank? If people are filling up the food bank, they're paying money to donate food. You know, probably more than you would be paying in taxes to pay into SNAP benefits. So I am so sick of MAGA just belittling this crisis that's about to happen. Most people are 1 or 2 paychecks away from being in poverty themselves. So think about that. Think of where's the food at the food bank coming from? Where's the food at the churches, food pantries, whatever coming from? People have to give that money. And where are they going to get that money from? So
Food stamps are back, at least for now. 2 federal judges in Massachusetts and Rhode Island ordered the Department of Agriculture to release more than $5 billion in contingency funding for SNAP benefits. This is not a separation of powers issue and unelected judges telling Congress what to do, at least according to the 25 states in the District of Columbia that sued. Under the 2008 Food and Nutrition Act, the USDA shall fund the SNAP program, and they've been doing so even during government shutdowns. But this time around, the Trump administration argued that the multi-billion-dollar contingency fund was supposed to be used for real emergencies like natural disasters and not for partisan gridlock in Washington. The judges disagreed, finding that the department's decision was arbitrary and capricious and went against years of precedent. So more than 40 million people may continue to get their food stamps while the government appeals, but this will only last a few weeks because the program costs the government almost $9 billion a month. What do you think about food stamps and the judge's decision? Let me know in the comments below.
Props to Harry Sisson, who's apparently such a thorn in the side of this administration that Trump feels the need to make videos about him. So nice work, Harry. And second of all, the reason that Trump has to, and he does have to, post these ridiculous AI videos is to keep his own fans distracted from the brutal reality that their life has gotten worse since he's been in office. Everything is more expensive, and their healthcare premiums are about to skyrocket, all because of Trump, because of his blatant failures. But what's really sad is all Trump has to do is pretend he's doing well, and his fans just blindly believe it. Like the free IVF. All he had to do was bring in the cameras and say, I'm doing an executive order on IVF. And his own fans actually thought that he made it free. No. And speaking of Trump putting on a show, but not actually having success in real life, Israel is still attacking Gaza. So there's been almost 100 Palestinians that have died since the ceasefire. So peace in the Middle East, absolute complete bullshit. Just like all of Trump's promises, he pretends that he's getting them done, but he doesn't actually get them done. And his fans, unfortunately, don't notice. Anyway, guys, I wanted to make this video because I've been feeling pretty down today. Just with my hands in the air like, what the fuck? We are the laughingstock of the world. But it actually helped me a little bit to realize that Trump has to do this. He has to keep his fans focused on hating the left. He has to. Or eventually they will sober up from the Kool-Aid and realize that their own life has not gotten any better at all since he's been in there. All right, guys, I love you. Hopefully you're having a great Sunday.
Accounts have been debited. They're just taking money out of people's accounts as part of their utility bill. Oh, Trump cut off all that money. That's been helping pay your utility bill, Alabama. And so now we're going to start taking all that money back. And by the way, you owe. You owe. You have to pay money. More than you have been, not only for your additional bills, you have to pay back what Trump is no longer allowing to be spent. And that, Alabama utility customers finding, hundreds of dollars taken out of their account in the middle of winter, right? I mean, I guess it's a small story in the grand scheme of things, given what's going on in our whole country. But for people in Alabama, that's a real and immediate and hugely expensive thing that is very obviously Donald Trump's fault.
I just got my utility bill. I'm so scared. Those of you living in North Alabama know this fear. Apparently TVA is charging host utilities more for whatever, and then it's 100 million degrees of hell. I'm so scared. There's nothing. $753. And guys, it's all electric. For those of you who don't know, Huntsville Utilities, everything's on here. Water, sprinkler, gas, electric, sewer, trash, taxes, whatever, okay? Nothing else is extraordinary except electric at $606. We have changed nothing from last month, nor from last summer. That we do when it's hot.
Hi guys, welcome back again to my channel. It's so good to have you. Thank you so much for clicking when you saw this video. So residents of Alabama is currently finding out in a very strong manner because the prices of the electricity just skyrocketed overnight. Imagine waking up in the morning and you find out that you have been slammed with extra $100 worth of electricity. That's exactly what they're finding out right now. And a lot of them are regretting their vote because it has happened. They didn't see this coming, but it is what it is. So these guys massively voted for the current administration, and now they can no longer afford to.
This MAGA account with over 400,000 followers has been caught repeatedly posting AI content to try to stir up outrage about Democrats and people on food stamps. Here's the first one. She's trying to claim these videos are real. She says leftist college professor yells at conservative student. As you can tell, readers added context here saying this is an AI video, but take a look at this.
Trump supporters are too stupid to know how to download an app.
Then they posted this one saying, check out this chick shoplifting from Walmart because she doesn't have food stamps. And again, readers added context saying this video is AI generated.
Stamps this month, so I'm about to grab any and bounce. Cereal burst.
Gotta get some snacks and bread too. Just like that. Nobody's looking. All right, walking out. Keep it cool. Made it. No stamps.
And here's the final one. She says lady gets $2,500 a month for SNAP food benefits, and she sells them all for $1,200 a month. What an absolute scam. And in all of these videos, the Sora AI logo can clearly be seen. They also say the car behind the speaker is not a real car by any known company, so it's obviously not real. Even hours after the community notes have been posted, she is still refusing to take these videos down or admit they're fake. This isn't just harmless misinformation either, it is coordinated deception. It's meant to shape people's opinions about poverty, welfare, and morality using complete fiction. These fake videos are dividing people that should be fighting together for fair wages, affordable food, and accountability from the powerful.
Hey everybody, it's Rich here at Leaving MAGA at leavingmaga.org. So I got to thinking about people in MAGA after these support groups we've been doing, and I am not credentialed to make any kind of psychological assessment, but it is my belief that a lot of the vitriol that comes from people who are in MAGA, that it's actually a cry for help. Yes, it is true that those who have not supported Trump, or maybe they did, like myself, and no longer do, there's undoubtedly a lot of trauma that's been endured by them. But I would also argue that many in MAGA have also suffered from their own trauma and a various variety of trauma. And I think that being traumatized makes someone more susceptible to MAGA. You know, there will come a point when MAGA will fade away and you will have millions and millions of people who will have nowhere to go. And that's why we founded our organization, so that way people do have a new community and a new place to go and a destination and an exit ramp. So while I'm not defending or justifying any of the invective that comes out of MAGA, I do think, given my own personal experiences and whatever small insights I can bring to this, that as hard as it might be to do this, and I know it's a big ask, having empathy, I believe, is still the best approach. And I'm not asking anyone to coddle anyone in MAGA, but I am asking to try to understand that many in MAGA have endured their own traumas, and I believe they've been exploited and manipulated by the predations of Trump and MAGA media and influencers. So I just wanted to bring you that Friday message. I hope all of you are doing well out there. As always, thank you for your support and appreciate you watching.
My name is Angel. I live in Columbia, Missouri. I woke up watching news and finding out we are going to give Argentina a $20 billion bailout while we can't even have health care in this country. And we're falling apart. And our beautiful fucking orange wannabe God seems to think he needs a Nobel Peace Prize, which I don't understand because he's tearing our country apart. I'm really not crazy. I really never do this. I am 60 years old. And for the first time in my life, I am scared to death to live in this country. I want to take my family and leave. I can't afford passports, imagine. But anyway, please, if you agree with me, call your senators, protest, do whatever you can. But I don't understand why we are giving another country $20 billion when so many people are on the verge of losing health care, so many rural hospitals are on the verge of closing. When this ACA or whatever they want to call it, Obamacare ends, everybody's premiums are shooting up. Not just the poor people you think are on Obamacare, but everybody's, because a whole system's going to have to absorb this. The system's going to have to absorb people that can't afford it and have to go to the emergency room for treatment, and that's all they can get. So we're going to let our people just lay here and die because they can't get health care, but we're going to bail out other countries? I don't understand. Please, if you agree with me and you think something needs to be done, just call your senators and tell them, please. Thank you for listening to my whiny post.
You know, something really sad is happening in small town America right now. These are the same places that supported Trump and went all in for the MAGA movement. They believe he would fix the system, help the forgotten people, and bring pride back to their communities. But now, many of those same small towns are the ones suffering the most. Hospitals are closing, people are losing their Medicaid, and families are being left without basic health care. Let's talk about what's really going on right now, because everyone is literally freaking out all across rural America, from Texas to Georgia to Kansas, Nebraska. Hospitals are shutting down. They just can't afford to stay open anymore. For a lot of these small towns, that hospital was everything. It was the one place people could go with their kids, if their kids get sick, when someone had a heart attack, or when there was an accident on the road. Now those buildings are empty, the lights are off, and people are being told to drive 50 miles or more just to see a doctor. Why? Because of cuts to Medicaid, the government program that helps low-income people pay for healthcare. See, many people in rural areas don't make a lot of money. They work on farms, in factories, or small stores. They depend on Medicaid when they get sick. But when the government reduces Medicaid funding, those hospitals lose money too, because they don't get paid back for care they give. And when that happens, they go broke. Hi guys, welcome.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.